1 o'clock in the morning in the big city is a betwixt and between zone. It was betwixt and between getting drunk at the local dive and getting that dreaded last call for alcohol between 2 and 2:30 a.m. At that half hour, the cross section of the male of the species was daunting. Pimps, whoremongers, drunkards, criminals, out and out freaks. Linda Avery had seen them all. As the cigarette girl at the Club Festival in Portland, Oregon, she knew her way around all sorts of drunken, foolish men. The life of a cigarette girl. Hawking cigarettes, breath mints, and the occasional condom wasn't actually the end all and be all job occupation for Linda. But without a high school diploma and a sincere lack of interest in what some would consider a career, she knew her options were limited in today's society. Oh no, here at the Club Festival, ethics and morality were only gauged as highly as the limits of an individual's cash in the wallet. Money, honey, that made things move all about her. Linda Avery was a city girl, born and bred. She was born in the big city of Portland, Oregon, and although raised in a small town a few miles away, came to the big city for excitement. She came to the city both with her parents as a child and as an adolescent on her own. She remembered that back in the day, coming into Portland with her parents was a matter of finding the main drag, Burnside Street, that connected the west side with the east side. Now there's more than one freeway route through town. As an adolescent, Linda was adept at hitchhiking back and forth between the big city and the small town. Her parents, for whatever reason, had no compunction about allowing her to hitchhike, as it was common in her day. Linda grew so adept at hitchhiking that she felt she could write a book on the subject. Her most unique technique was to point at a driver passing her by, feigning recognition. The technique worked on occasion, but usually it was a matter of sticking out the thumb and looking non-threatening. As an adult, she would move to the big city and make it her home. She was in her element walking the concrete sidewalks, listening to the buzz of traffic and the hum of city life. One reason was because as a child she lived in the old downtown of the small town, where the movie theater, the bank, several restaurants, and most of the city's government structure was located. As a child, she'd seen empty wine bottles and empty snuff boxes littering the streets on Sunday morning. In the big city, as an adult, one aspect she never tired of was listening to the homeless men chatter incoherently to themselves. Some of them were quiet and reserved, others loud and abrasive. It didn't matter to her. It was harmless, and she pitied the men more than anything. She looked down on them, as an average citizen might, as the waste and refuse of human existence. Linda felt as if some of the homeless were on the streets because of bad luck and no better choice. But she'd come to the conclusion over the years that a big percentage of the street folks are hardcore homeless and are on the streets because that's the lifestyle they've chosen. Spare a quarter for some food? An out-of-doors person would ask. Sorry, was all Linda would say. She knew you didn't want to get into a conversation with any of them, and you certainly didn't want to get confrontational. She also didn't want to give any money to them for concern over what they'd do with the cash, like spend it on alcohol. She tried getting confrontational with a homeless person one day, and she nearly paid the price. That price would have been bodily harm. As she walked out of a supermarket in the middle of the city one day, a row of shabbily dressed men lined the bench outside the entrance. One of them pleaded with her. "Spare some change, lady?" a disheveled old bum asked her. Instead of her usual "sorry," she decided she'd give the old guy some back talk. "No, I can't spare any change," she barked back. "Why don't you get a job?" That snapped it for the old guy. He began yelling at her, incoherent gibberish, but at the top of his lungs. "You bitch!" he yelled. "Fuck you!" When she tried walking away, the old guy got up and started following, yelling as he pursued her. She picked up the pace and was nearly at a trot as she rounded the corner. A few quick steps and she was out of the vagrant's sight. Close call. That rude encounter taught her a lesson she already knew, but now was positively entrenched. The city offers challenges, but she'd been lucky to never have had a gun or knife pointed at her on the street. She knew that much of the violence and insanity that occurs doesn't happen between strangers. It happens between people who know each other. Violent, abusive partners seem to be the most prevalent combination. Violence and insanity between friends, lovers, relatives. On the street, if you minded your own business and didn't mouth off to the beggars and panhandlers, you survived. Play it straight was the lesson learned. In the main, Linda had enough self-esteem and enough confidence to be able to deal with the street people in a tactful manner. Her encounter with the angry homeless man taught her a lifelong lesson: leave well enough alone. But she truly enjoyed walking the streets, taking in the cityscape and all its blasé sameness or bright wonders. To her, the city was a place where the humans lived, loved, and laughed. And to deny the city its inherent wonderment was to deny life. She knew the city had its share of bad people, but in her short, sweet life, she'd learned no matter where you go, be it the middle of the city or the middle of nowhere, people were basically the same, either good or bad, or a combination of the two. You didn't have to travel to a big city to get ripped off, beat up, or killed. She loved and respected the city and its inhabitants. She avoided trouble if she could, but when push came to shove, she felt she could give it as good as she got it.